calm myself down. Okay, so this is the last creative writing reading of the year, as those of you who are in creative writing classes and being forced to go to readings know very well, which is the minority of us, I am sure. I have a lot of thanks to give to the various entities that have sponsored a wonderful series of creative writers this year, including Writers Reading, the Trias Endowed Fund for Poetry and Creative Writing, the English Department, and the Honors Program. Thanks, as always, to Peter Trias, who is HWS's patron saint of creative writing. Thanks to Sue Gage, who is the secret superhero of creative writing on campus, who holds everything together and makes the rest of us involved in these readings look deceptively as if we're very organized and as if we know what we're doing. And thanks to all of you for appreciating good writing, for coming out to events like these. And I decided to start a new thing this year when I've got a reader in town serving on someone's honors committee. I decided to ask the honors student to be the opening act at the reading. I love working with honors students, and I usually take on one student project a year. This year, I've been working with Jens Olafsson, who will read some of his work to you shortly, just after I take a second to brag about him and introduce him to you. Jens writes with astonishing faith in the poem. You know that part in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade where Indiana has to leap from the edge of a cliff over the precipice into what appears to be a gigantic ravine. It's a leap of faith moment. He doesn't know what's going to happen, but he jumps. And the ravine turns out to have been an optical illusion. There's a path right in front of him. He just couldn't see it from his vantage point. He had to jump first to take the gigantic, impossible risk before he could see the path. For me, as a poet, it was a hard lesson to learn to leap into my poems with faith that the next line would appear under my feet. I didn't trust my poems when I was in college. I used to hoard good images and lines and try to pack them all into the same poem because I didn't believe in my heart of hearts that the good stuff would come to me in the moments of writing. And so I would commit what feels sometimes to me like the worst sin a poem can do. I would plan my epiphanies in advance. I would already know my revelations before the time when they were supposed to happen, and so they weren't revelations at all, and the poem suffered because of my lack of faith. In contrast to me, Jens never plans his epiphanies. He is Rimbaud's drunken boat. He rows himself into the current of the poem and then dumps the paddles overboard, come what may. He leaps out past the precipice and trusts the path to appear beneath him. What this leads to are real epiphanies in his poems, moments of real revelation. And being real, these revelations are totally unexpected to us and to him. Frequently, they manifest themselves as sharp clarities after twists and turns, like walking down a dark hallway, then throwing open a door into sudden light, as with, quote, there is a weight to thunder, leaks in shell-white ceilings, a little pale with a little pond in its steel mouth. Sometimes the epiphany will involve a sudden, unexpected image that points up and out of itself, an image that resonates with clear feeling, but is unpin-downable, unparaphrasable. The kind of image where even if I don't know what it means, I know what it means, like with my gut. Images like pulled chip of a child tooth, or over the brick road, barn swallows fly with open beaks. It has been an enormous pleasure to be Jen's honors advisor this year, to feed him books I know will catch in his brain and take root, to watch him teach himself things I could never teach him myself, to get to witness the original process of those real epiphanies, and to get to share his work, my heart packed with pride, with our guest reader ERYN GREEN in the context of the honors exam, and with you all. So happy to introduce to you Jens Olafsson.
Thank you so much. I didn't expect that introduction. It's really nice to see so many familiar and new faces. I've been reading ERYN GREEN's work all year, and I've fallen in love with it. And usually when I fall in love with a poet's work, I'll try to find their work on YouTube and listen to them do readings. And one of my favorite readings I've ever seen is ERYN GREEN holding a baby and reading this very serious poem that ends, terror that this new life is, while the baby is staring into the camera and smiling and reaching for the paper. I just wanted to share that because it was something that I watched over and over again. If you haven't taken a class with Professor Coles, please do it. It will change your life. She has changed my life, and I am so grateful. Thank you so much. I'm going to read a few poems, and there's a character in here who, for me, I guess, is a kind of sister figure by the name of B. And there's also a poem that references a painting by René Magritte. It's called The Therapist, in which there's this sort of man with a bag, and he's got no body, but it's kind of like a cage in place his body. Okay. Light from nowhere. Light from nowhere reached for her palm, but was run over by the night. B's body ejected a silent traffic. Fogged windshields parked in the lot. A milk honey candle lit in the cement field pushed its gold red innards out against the dark, pushing in. So many sounds going on. The Therapist. B's keeper wore the sea-red veil tacked to an ancient hat. With no bloody body, for health care didn't care to keep her constant ill. B buzzed round in her cage, translucent as wings glued to water. Limp as an empty carry-on bag, she packed her shadows back under each blank rib, shed her dove-gray coat, and hung her heart on her wing, on her wet shawl, her red mouth, her mouth of metal. Though I have closed myself as fingers, skylines rise beyond wet profiles of grass as I cross rims of a clover field in father's red raincoat. Somewhere I have not yet traveled, wind is softening across my dorsal bridge. Memory hears the flash and storm, torn fragrance after thunder. For 1000, his face is not under his hood, just under a mile. I ask autumn for its green hand. Tooth a wet window. Riding a razor scooter down Central Park Ave, with B behind me, between fore and hind wheels all wobbly, we hit a crack in the rain. Her two front teeth try to bite her reddening shadow. Spoke, broke, outbled the sloppy day. Evening forecast. It snows now, as in winterlight, as in the shadowless cathedral Bergman slips into, within which one man takes up God's old coat and buries his face. Father, an artifact. A china rim-chipped mug with two koi or catfish. Either way, each blue tail couldn't touch round that snowbound glass. I feel him nonetheless. Each day he began the day in clear vodka. Coffee-stained debris falls into my cold face. I drink. I'll read 2 more poems. Moonlight Sonata. In his pocket, a silver clock points to night's peak, this full snow moon, under which wolves hardly howl. In the pocket knit by midnight, wind folds the pianist's ears, then nests the world into them. On his bench, he leans into low liftoff. Prints in snow cross the bridges of his hands. Over the brick road, barn swallows fly with open beaks. This is the last poem. Night, night. Bee, with her pink bunny, couldn't furl her tongue to say, so called her best playmate, a little bummy. Played asleep by folding bummy's ears, long ears, over each pale blue eye. Peekaboo, pink, wing, early the wind, blue, pink, fine bee, pink, pink, blue bee, so blue. Thank you so much. I'm so thrilled to listen to ERYN Green read his poems. I've fallen in love with him, and I'm really excited, so it's going to get good.
Okay, me again. Now I get to introduce ERYN. ERYN Green is a little younger than I am. He was still in college when I first met him. He was starting his MFA at Utah around about the time I was finishing my Ph.D., so I always thought of him as my red-headed kid brother in many ways, someone I tease and tease, but punch the hell out of anyone else who would tease. Kid brother, that is, until while working on his own Ph.D. at Denver, he went and won the biggest first book prize in the country, racing ahead of all the rest of us in career impressiveness in a single bound. He felt to me like a contemporary John Keats, teaching himself in countable months what it took the rest of us years and years to learn, and learning it in many ways better for the speed. And now he's an assistant professor of English at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and with a second book manuscript that's already topping finalist lists for a new set of book prizes. Still, he's family to me, so in big sister mode, when I started writing this introduction, I made a whole list of funny, teasing, slightly self-incriminating things I remember about ERYN from graduate school that I have since, using my better sense, redacted from this introduction, and I want to show you the redaction marks. Let's start right here, go all the way down. Here we go. So this is what you're missing. This is all the stuff I'm not saying. Because I came to my senses, but just to give you a taste. Once I stole ERYN's extremely characteristic shoes and hat and tie and dressed up as him for Halloween, complete with poorly drawn on red beard. It was awesome. I love to tease him, but in all seriousness, I don't know that I've ever met anyone before besides ERYN Green who never meant any harm to anyone. Think about what I'm saying, what that means. No harm meant, ever, to anyone, even people who have meant him harm. I have never heard a harmful word about another individual human being come out of ERYN's mouth, at least not one that's shot through with pieces of love. Politicians, maybe. He said harmful things about politicians, but we all know they're not really human beings. As a person and as a poet, ERYN is radical in his refusal of the violence and aggression and harm that is so common these days that it starts to feel normal. ERYN makes harm not normal. He has an astonishing kind of goodwill of generosity. If I asked ERYN right now, really asked him for the shirt off his back, I bet he would laugh, and then he would say, okay, come on, Catherine. But then he would give it to me. This open-heartedness, this purity of good, this humility, this grace, this is the force that drives ERYN's poetry, that drives his eye. He looks at the stuff of the world with the attentiveness of one who is always suddenly falling in love with the stuff of the world, who believes the stuff of the world to be holy, 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 all of it holy, all of it worth looking at, worth holding in the arms of the poem. I mean, listen to this stuff. Quote, I had ideas about water once. They were the first to wash away with the rain. And I ignore only so much as I can handle, no such thing as more perfect. We don't fall in love just to cling. We open all the windows. And the world started today, you can tell by the parade. And I know I've been gone a long time, but the future is love or isn't future at all. This is not naivete, I promise. It's not fake innocence. It's not an ostrich with its head in the sand. It's Blakean experience, real, earned innocence, innocence got by way of the actual world. Sometimes saying a thing is the necessary precursor to having a thing be true, to having it be real. And how radical, how astonishingly radical in this day and age to have the thing you say be, look at all the holy there is to see, and also love, 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 love. I am honored to get to introduce to you my dear, beloved friend, my chosen kid brother, and the renowned poet, ERYN GREEN.
Hi guys, it's a real pleasure to be here. Catherine, thank you so much for the beautiful introduction that I will now immediately proceed to not live up to. But it's good news because, right, if I bore you, this is pretty good. So you guys can just look over my shoulders. I think it'll all be okay. It is, in all seriousness, a deep and profound honor to be here today. I am grateful to be welcomed onto your beautiful campus, which is genuinely sort of unimaginably striking. I assume you guys all know this. I live in Las Vegas, so like it doesn't look quite like this. We're building something that's going to hopefully look like just give us a couple of months, right? And it is just something that I cannot sort of express my gratitude about. And to Catherine and to Jeff, I love you guys, and it is just a pleasure to be in your company. I want to say a couple of words about Jen's and his poems, which I've had the privilege recently to spend some time with. It is uncommon, to say the very least, and almost unheard of in my experience, to come across the work of a poet who is so young and yet seems to be imbued with such maturity of heart and spirit. And I am grateful to be sharing the stage with you today, and you read beautifully, so thank you for all of that too. I am going to read tonight from my first book, which is entitled Eruv, and I'm going to read some new poems that I have never read before, because I feel so at home here, so I appreciate your indulgence in that regard. And I also appreciate the fact that it is way more humid here than it is in Las Vegas. The fact that I'm now perspiring and learning about simultaneously. So we'll just pretend it's the activity of the muse, right? And we'll go from there. But in all reality, this is just a dream come true for me. So thank you for joining me tonight. My first book is called Eruv. And I don't want to say too much about what an Eruv is, per se. It is technically an almost invisible boundary that is, in Jewish communities, both in America and abroad, often found far, far above our heads, your heads, people's heads. And it has a function of establishing a sacred space where one had not previously been conceived of before. The way that I wrote it in the book is this. The function is basically that on Sabbath, right, rest is an imperative, which is good. That's a good day, I think, on that level. But we are human beings and we have to do stuff. Push our children in their strollers. We have to go outside and hug our loved ones. We have to be in the world. And in order to do that and not manifest an affront to something that could be divine, and Eruv is established. And its function primarily is it takes the house in which one cannot do work, right? Everything you do in your house is not work. That's good news, right? You can all tell your parents this when you... and it opens it up into a broader courtyard where it is a shared residence where everyone can find themselves and can find themselves hopefully unworried. On the Sabbath, carrying objects or bodies from one domain to another is prohibited by the Torah. And Eruv, which is Hebrew for mixture, is a ritual enclosure that opens private into public spaces, fashioning a larger home out of shared alleys and courtyards, enabling transport between worlds. And Eruv is best understood as a doorway. Without one, carrying keys or tissues or pushing carriages would not be possible. This poem is called First Walk. Far edge of October and still no frost. Converging wind patterns reflected in the cloth across pond-reflected lilies. Small clearing, unsteadying of goldenrod, yellow light elbowing across tall bushes, far off voice. Afternoon opening into vacant lot, just a few thin sticks surrounded by gold-tipped weeds, and a small silver rainbird streams across the scene, all light sources teeming. Bright copper seed husks organizing the field hush. Bright swaths of prairie flax catalyzed into shaking, dispersed by some quick shift of thistle outside, fissure of rocks made visible. Here then, ribbons passed. Gate-eyed in the clearing, I stand up, and the whole thing's invited. It's already summoning, struck beneath the greening, born again and again, and all the time emptying, even in the gardens. The ripped sky of jets passing, even in the way the spruces balk, as if they could touch them, voice saying, not mine, even in water. Pulled by the edges of a rock in the river, pulled from, back into vortices that work below the surface, oil-stained pocket of gravity only perceivable by convoy of its own swirling. Enormous brown leaves going over the falls, can't just walk away from helpless pink flowers and attendant bees, can't stop sudden electric trees, big-toothed maple discharging. This next poem is called Thanksgiving. I was happy. Paradise was a physical thing. Roost, typhina, dissect a cut leaf. Roost, typhina, dissect a stab corn sumac. If I were dressed like the sun, red edge, gold edge. Roost, typhina, ground brown and holy edge, unscorched by tiller. Overwhelmed by the sight of, at dinner, big-tooth maple and cello, big-tooth maple and western prairie smoke. Hello. The girl in the world that does this to me. Abandoned weediness, moved back into prairie, errant weediness, wind in my mouth, everything starts to wild up. The girl in the world, mud, salt crystals, rocks, water, helpless going over the falls. Overcome by the feeling if two people are kissing, they're doing it right. 4 chords and blankets, 4 chords and night. Holiness or numbness, holiness, 4 chords or blankness. This poem is called Here to Spread Light On. A long time ago, when I was a younger man who was in better shape, Jeff Babbitt and I used to play a lot of soccer together. And my favorite soccer player is Lionel Messi, and he appears in this poem, which makes me like continually happy. I know that's there we go. Here to spread light on. The lights turn the ceiling on into gold leaf. All of them makes me a messenger. Each of them is amazing. I see. Branches arc lightning, Lionel Messi on TV, and I'm convinced he will always be perfect. I ignore only so much as I can handle. No such thing as more perfect. We don't fall in love just to cling. We open all the windows. I had wanted to show you before a new lane of music and walking off into the kitchen after. The sun is fast laughter, long enough to catch the windows change into lingering street bells, meant never to die, map only an archive, arcady, the future, etc., brighter than our mistakes, like Prosperous, like no harm done, No drowning mark upon my soul. Icicles, just heavens I hadn't seen. A whole new planet orbiting, literally under orchids, moving in the moonlight. That noise, small white petals in the street. One star or char. Sounds, second walk. Slow example falling from cedars. Snow caught in a streetlight like it was breathing. Sudden chill in the line. And sounds this morning to be the mast of such great agony. And move out into the street. I watched the clumsy grace of bicyclists in January. Unblushing sky, ashamed of nothing. Suddenly my life makes sense. I get along until the cloud just collapses. I'm standing on the freeway and cars move by like drunk panthers. I am loved again. Like there was future again. In street clothes, take small notes, unfolding chorus. I can't just go out and buy a wheat-colored soul, an overgrown path in the weeds behind the school, rough elm edges, affection rattled like a furnace behind French doors, my chest. Red, orange red, yellow red, green. I had wanted to be a courtyard full of streetlights, no cars, just sidewalks when it rains, makeshift forests where there weren't any yesterday. The kind of line that lets you out into the world. The glimpses you get when the walls shift to windows enough for lights, Christmas to stream by. I want to be the picture of myself going out. The sidewalk when it rains. These sayings calm me down. Rooftop, tennis courts, ice crystals, halo, reddish inner edge, sunstormy, aurora at sped. This poem is called Dear Beings, I Can Feel Your Hands. The title is borrowed from Robin Blazer, who is one of my favorite poets. Dear Beings, I Can Feel Your Hands. Small voice of my father saying, little piece of dirt facing small boat harbor. On Tuesday, media. And then on Thursday, riptide, spouting porn. What am I? To be the mast of such great admiral. Sit down. Dear beings, I'm afraid that I have lost my ruthlessness and cunning, along with the bay horse and turtle dove. There are flowers stuck to the ceiling, seriously. What have I near the water? My family moves around me. I've decided nothing scares me. I look out across the water, and a spindly black spider turns out to be a tiger bat. My little sister saying, that's a moth swing, up close. Set waves, tide, more like a feeling. My mother saying, look at how many people died while we were away. Thin series of blurs, like I was never there at all. Like the other day, I heard a woman talking to her friend at the bar. I feel like I'm not good enough. I'll never make money again, never fall in love. I don't know where to go when the doors close. I can't just go out and buy a wheat-colored soul. Write a sadder poem, startled by windows curved up in the shape of fins. Up and behind my head, the shadows on the table spin for us. We are in love. If I could spend my life beneath palm fronds, into which walk little birds and saunterers, clouds wrapped around ice plants, if I could only find one of the letters to God in the street, I'm still new to town. The kids on the lawn go around the light, and I don't get it. The first word I hear on my birthday is window box, charming of treetops, and songs on the radio calm me down, disarmed but hopeful, thank you. I look up and cathedral, spotlight, not having to imagine beautiful rooftops. I find myself in that. And the feeling of girls laughing downstairs. Lucky enough just to scan the flights of birds, stand under bleachers in the snow, blurting out kisses like a man the cards kept urging forward. The world so rare it ripples. In the photos I develop, I tell the clerk, go somewhere and make yourself happy. All the lights in the ceiling say flood. Make me happy, feeling of. I say, a feeling left of, wind blown. I want to live in a world where rooftop tennis courts covered in confectioner's snow, where stadium lights on all the south-facing windows, world where gates ajar rend my prayer, where Ren. I'll read a few poems from the end of this book and then I'll move on to the new ones. I was really lucky and I lived in France for a little while. In Montmartre, which is a beautiful part of France. It's like the high point. If you ever see Hills or a French movie where a car or somebody's walking up a hill, it's probably there. My wife and I had I think they called it an apartment. I believe technically that's what it was called. It was a closet's closet, is actually what it was, but it had a window. And that window looked out onto the Sacré-Cœur, and every morning we would wake up and see just this I don't know, right? This unbelievable white building, and it snowed sometimes. That happens in France. I didn't know that too. And this is a poem about that. Neighborhood 18. This is the 18th arrondissement. Neighborhood 18. But really, I spent the whole year walking away and, to be honest, thought of Paris. Only that it should be beautiful. Only that it should be beautiful. Oh, beautiful. Birds in the morning, make of spring a treasure, hunt of men or angels, red, blue, green, and wet, predicament, lips, precinct, velvet, this perfect life of glass and buildings, head over with you as I am a twist in the flood. A white wrist moves past us in the courtyard, laughing, and all my dreams come back to me, true, with looks, little rivers, nervous ticks, rolling down. The rain is so generous, I can't even say it. This poem is called Bon Vivant. The world didn't end, but the town of my friends' first love washed away all the same. Oh, vanity, I lost everything. Ended up in France with diamonds, which are all that remain. I had ideas about water once. They were the first to wash away the rain. Through the horsehair, the world calls out its name perfectly. Through open country aspen, I am loved again, like future again. If I ever forget, air conditioning has its own business too, the way every morning is to us a new kind of eternal heirloom, stars made in the bedroom laughter. The first day after apocalypse is always solstice, proof of a kind of triumph on the horizon. On the other edge of town, strung out together like hedge limits in August, audacious, our backs to the sun, looking down the path for a mountain we swear can't be there, just never was before. I'm going to read the last poem here. Actually, I'll read a couple more. This poem is called Ceres. It's for Hanna. String lights strewn across the underside of a still glass white wedding tent. But this isn't easy for me doesn't mean it isn't easy. A seat from which to enter the world. Thin rows of desert, flowers not giving up, red dirt stalks all grown up to light. They don't know how to go backwards. Why even try? As much as you wish we could be, a seat from which, with all the bravery of Eli or Levi or any other angels of this clear lily night sky, we can be. I know how much Hanna in the seat changed me. The truth is green. Things never really die. I calm down at the sight. I don't understand protest songs in the street, but no sky blue wool with my grandmother is beautiful in Israel, and I let go, open up to Tantavi on the rooftops. Awake, as my name might mean, bent, down branch under tender, everything so relaxed. We go over the cliffs at last. Blackout. I wish poets would do this more often. This is a true story. This poem, this happened. It really did. I was in Denver. I lived in Denver for a long time, and I was driving downtown, and we had this massive blackout. And the craziest thing happened, which is that I was driving down this avenue, and you guys have all seen this, like big buildings, right? They are erratic on their sides, and they're usually bright, and the sky is dark. But this time it was inverted, and the sky was kind of bright, and the buildings had gone totally dark, and I was fully convinced that it was a chandelier or that I was losing my mind. And it's entirely possible both of those things happened. But this is a poem about that. Blackout. Night over asphalt. Passages in the snow. Night over asphalt. Just wanted to be a host. A place for brightness to pass over. A million different animals all crashing into a kitchen and breaking nothing. I keep thinking. God moves to the ends of our prepositions like an open shirt. Suddenly, it's all leaky doors and thunderstorms, like forgetting something. It's all green, and then a blackout. Everyone in the streets. The wind that hit those grasses was an animal. I mean, you can see it, but only in patches. Only by the yellow light, its teeth flashes off. I was driving downtown when what I thought was chandeliers, was sky, actually teethed on two sides by exposure to buildings and trees, a new kind of world. I believe you. It really is glorious, really something else. Not the real, but stuck to it, not full shot through with light. If I ever stop thinking this is a wilderness, Pepsi can forest and the tall rusty bushes growing through steel dark bleachers, echo of somebody else's for-rent whisper on the phone. If I ever wanted to be this carousel of night sounds, all I can think of is I want to be an extra pair of movie set lights. I was standing in flowers, inverted by bell shapes, and suddenly everything's done so forwardly. The last poem was called Found One. Not forgotten, just not there. White flowers in a calm sea-shaped air. Receding every morning, I stare, saying, I'm sure something will happen. I want to be in love, and all the birds keep laughing. Opening, opening. Levi, I think the heart doesn't skip, but leaps. Sends off between limbs, its dreams and fingers crossed helplessly. And what do I want? Music moved beyond me. cradle and smell of a new home from the one I've known, a brand new nursery. I've never seen sawgrass, meant more than I do right now when I'm not looking and my beer forms over as I call your name. I gently blow over the corona. All the white laughter happens, all flowers. I'll read a couple of poems from my new book. So yeah, like I was saying, these are like new, like brand new, and I have not read them in front of people before. So there's that. But the book is called Second Home right now, and it has a pair of epigraphs that I think somewhat orient the text. The first one is from Robin Blazer, who I've already mentioned I love. It says, the whole thing is just trying to be at home, that's the plot. And Charles Olson said, he who walks with his house on his head is heaven. I'll read a couple of these, hopefully not go on for too long. Truces for Tom. In concert with the underlying, sympathy, funny, I know about the truces now. After you have gone, how everything is on TV at the right time. My life changes suddenly. The leaves fall anytime, not when they're called, and best of all, I can be given, not given, worry about the visions anymore. Enough in a letter that begins, dear, swift flying pageant, that you were for me future, brave and stupid, blushing, reckless, fool exactly as I admire. I fail to be still, most trees still green, so much I can say in my heart at least. I have all the books you'll never sign, each a crackling of happiness pointed at me, a spear, like Giacometti's Mobile in Paris, Apollinaire's face in the window. My first time really seeing the signs for Al-Quls in the street prophetically, which her voice brings up. Late flights, hospital beds, all the times she said, don't fuck with me in Tel Aviv, getting pizza. Up ahead we move for lakes, for Galilee in hopes that a party might restore us. You to your gardens, tuned to the lyres, for company passage, newly to arms, all love, we rest, desperately fronting closure, as though anyone felt okay somehow. What turns out to be at stake in all this gasping? The world we eulogize as a place away, to put up with the space of our mistakes. To endure, if only you'd met my daughter. In that thought, I'm at the races again, paying poorer attention, aware too much of east-facing sighting when the bills come due, what I see written in the back pages of T's, outbound ships detained no more, as if it were possible to come home still. I mean, what's knocked your hate into the creek lately? You'd say, I wasn't there last for breathing, the whole sky, I didn't give up, ahead, my memories of you, affording this evening amorous stances towards reality, so count myself lucky. Enough to change. Every morning, the self-same parade, all ready-made, and I well on its way. You'd love it, I swear, it's all the same. The season cheers me. The second person is always a ghost, and I miss you most days all year. The secrets, objects shared. You showed me, struck by a heavenly force of a like kind, the needle loses bearing, never recovers. Your heart in a lightning field of needs, you said. It's no different. This poem is called Fog. If I could only get out from under it. For 1 minute, this fog, responsible business, so-called, I know I could recover the sound. Around here unchanged as echo. North Lighthouse, horn, South Lighthouse, horn, cannon fire. There are others. Sounds offshore. In the gray middle din, unintelligible, like shapes out of the mist. Ships at first, and not at all like ships. I mean, I was in it. When the fog rolled in, the milk-white room, so easy to be found wanting, walking without the right neighborhood sounds in the streets, ghosts of something major weighing in the balance, an idea really at stake, me, with my stupid little book, drawing on such obvious things, in danger only of forgetting the frontier line, not listening when the thrushbirds speak, in danger of not speaking myself where I stand, not going home with sticks and stone and hands held out across tables. I mean, I felt it. Time wrapped around the worry, time to make good on all the promises spookily, had my way obscured by attention, had what I wanted, so futile of me, this sense of history. Listen, there was a day with glass and wind, felt beneath the lamplight then, the crack of new beginnings, zone of color arching the sky. Someone shattered the vessels of the universe with light. I remember being so young and over, hearing little switches below the leaves, make them stop shivering. This poem is entitled Blue 3 for Hanna. It's about a painting and my wife, those two things. Blue 3 for Hanna. Ocean green chain of leaves, handing down the willow tree where your eye falls in strokes, dizzying. That night I bought a ring, and ever since you can hear cicadas and the lightning crease. In the fall corner, real moss, not make-believe. Floored by new growth, evergreen forest driven up the hillside, this new life you just feel a part of, thinking about the fire. This that was always the undisturbed rankness of embers in the sweet air, the first of many visions assembling, just a feeling ahead of evening, so pretty, raining in the trees. And because your head is full of bells, you live well, with your mistakes, your whole life, the shape they take, 3 red flowers unfolding, whole reasons for emptying, perfect if you let it be a song on a train in the morning. If you're ready, say cornflowers, say open, all my days, yes, happy just. Overheard music out of nowhere, voices out of time, a memory, cathedral spire where I first found your hand outside of myself for a moment, fountain shade in the fontaine, no particular way, de Medici, whosoever loves, a parade leaves, waves overlapping. This poem is called Lore, and Robert Creeley is another poet I adore, and this poem opens with what is written on his headstone, which is, poets always get the best last words. I don't know if you know this. They do, and these are some of his. Lore, just look at the light of this hour, Lore, with headstones, rooftops, the way antennae range through chimney stacks, real ocean masts, the birds know at last, we can't stay in alleyways, the next horizon already underway, we can't leave either, our beautiful faces to the mast, so urgency, so colored already, underway in pinwheels, increased day by day. I wanted to show you an opening in attention, a way in the world arranged towards happy-making, real as it is to me feels of my family finally, all I had asked for, singing, and I was lightly asleep every day. I'll read maybe 1 or 2 more. This poem is called Association. It was summer, and we all were evacuating, that we might get filled up again by something kenotic, else we remembered the feeling, what Levi and Derek were drinking by the Big Blue Bear in Denver so long ago from clear, to become vision while falling. It's not sad. I was alone, and I kept calling out for you, even if I didn't know the names yet. There are days I go on because I go on. You asked me once, what was at stake when I got what I was looking for and framed. In another door I sang, these mountains, that you can see them, such oases in the desert a heart can become. This is an elegy, Deserted, and it has an epigraph from Edmund Yabez. Hope, the following page, do not close the book. I've turned all the pages, and without finding hope, then perhaps hope is the book. This is the poem. Elegy. We live on the edge of a wrath through dejection, a joy almost too great to speak, so it takes breath, so we break the end of the line. Whenever we see the sun go on, the entire Death Valley covered in a carpet of gold and yellow pinafores, and you can't imagine the hills any more than deny the contours, the failing light that gives every angle its vision as it goes. Foi. The wind tunes us like back glances between musicians in the street. My love, say eyes, say ruffian, thick vines of kudzu, struck by an ending light, always setting things right, rough-hewn as we were back then. The sacred heart we saw through, glass doors, our second home, a million paper cranes on the way up, utterly uncommon. Oh, dear, there's nothing left on the rooftops to apologize for. And I want to conclude with 2 poems. One is for C.D. Wright, who's a poet that I admired tremendously, who we lost last year. The poem is called Be Okay, Oh Hell, Be Anywhere, Living. Proof emerged through another kind of day, so springtime, revivifying, really there for us, like you always were, light tasseled evergreen, new growth from the beginning. If you could say that in a poem, sunflower blindness, unheard of, how could I live without it? What couldn't we do? I couldn't move. Like I'd only just noticed the year gorging itself on poets, the year gorging itself on poets, the year still gorgeous. You showed us the noise of it. And this last poem I'll read. It's called Portal, Wilder Shores of Love. How hinged on going backwards I had been. First heaven is all windows. I thought, of course, everybody knows it. You can see it in the evening crest. The visibly rich old man at Brothers who spills his drink on my notebooks, and I look up and see the actual sun set. I have to go change my life again. No limits to what Joshua trees will believe. Every time a universe explodes, a chromosome knows to reassemble, take lesson. For some reason, I dream of your eyelashes again. Desi Arnaz on a neighbor's radio the whole year, ushering in a jump right off into helplessness, one after another, disabused of brightest stars at a Cuban restaurant for the love of. It wouldn't help to fake this, what little sense it makes. Any tent on a landscape, this domicile onward movement awaits. Thank you guys so much.
I guess my question is partly influenced by the setting, but I noticed, so trees play a pretty big role in a lot of your poems, and I was wondering, what is your favorite tree?
Oh man. When I was like 7 years old, I lived in Salt Lake City. And this just like to show you how old I am. Back in the day, you could go to Burger King and not just get a toy. They gave you a tree seed once. And this is real talk. This actually happened. This is a true story. I planted it in my front yard when I lived in Salt Lake City. And I went back just a little while ago. It was the first time that I've seen it. The thing was huge. It was incredibly humbling, first of all, to realize that its life work versus my life work had gone so well. No, I love that tree. And I live in the desert right now, so I'm a big fan of Joshua trees. They are super weird. My wife is convinced, and I feel like she got it exactly right, that they look like Dr. Seuss characters turned upside down and half buried. Like their legs kind of like coming up through the, yeah. And you're right to point that out, by the way. Trees are a really important thing for me. And I am fascinated by a lot of different things, but one of them is a new line of research inside of botany and biology that is exploring the ways in which trees actually communicate with one another, both above ground via the distribution of chemicals that they release, but also underground. There's like this invisible network of fungus and all kinds of things like that help trees talk to one another. In Utah, where we are from, there are giant aspen groves, and the crazy thing about aspen groves is that they are one organism. It's just one thing, and it looks like all these different trees, and I think it just kind of maybe teaches me how to try to be human a little bit better. Yeah, thank you. Other questions? Yeah?
This may sound like your typical writing process question, but a lot of these poems seem so deeply immersed in like specific moments. Like, do you carry a notebook around you to write in those exact moments, or? You know?
Yeah, it's actually, I appreciate you asking that question. Yeah, that's a really important part of the process for me, because I, first of all, have no imagination. This is kind of a problem in some of these regards. But which is good, because like I don't need one 90% of the time. It's going pretty well without it. And so I try to stay open. I want to be struck. I am, in fact, struck quite often. Sometimes by kids on skateboards on campus is recently what's been striking me, but other things as well. And I think that a big part of the compositional process for me is actually a process of composting, where material or things that I have seen or that have happened to me make their way into my journal. I won't look back at it for like a long time, and then I'll open it back up and suddenly I'll understand why I wrote it down in the first place or what it does. As a writer, to another writer, it's awesome because it takes off a lot of the pressure. You don't have to worry so much about making things up, because what am I going to say that's better than those white flowers? The answer is not very much. Yeah.
You say you don't have a lot of imagination. How then do you take a simple idea like the blackout that you saw and make it into a poem like you know?
I am infinitely curious is probably the answer. And I am utterly convinced, as I get older and as I see more things, I am more assured of my sort of correctness in this. But I more or less go through my day convinced that I have no idea what's going on. That I don't know very much about what is happening. And as such, I'm constantly looking to learn from my surroundings, from my friends, from any of you, from people that I meet. And I think that I think often of what Carlos Williams said of the imagination, which is that it is a force of nature, not unlike gravity or electromagnetism, right? Like I love to surf, I'm the world's worst surfer, but I love to surf. And the thing that I love about surfing is that there is a moment right before you catch the wave, or maybe in the middle of the wave, where you realize that you have utterly nothing to say about it, right? You cannot say slow down, you can't say like send me a better wave, the ocean will send you a shark is what will usually happen in those instances. And so I just try to find my way through that. And I may not have an imagination, but that doesn't mean that I don't believe the world doesn't have an imagination, and I am constantly trying to borrow from its playbook as a living down here. And thank you.
So Erin, you didn't say what the tree was you planted out of.
It's almost too obvious because of my last name. It was an evergreen. Yeah. So far, so am I. So we're good. We'll stick with it. It's a totally charming tree, by the way. Like it is like I don't know how to. Yeah. I don't know. It's like it is both. You guys know evergreens. Like they are sharp and kind of intimidating, but this one is also like fluffy. It's glorious. Maybe I'm making all of this up. I now say it out loud, that doesn't seem real, but that's the one. Anybody else? Yeah.
What do you do when you have writer's block?
I take a walk. That sounds so stupid. That is like literally what I do. And the only reason I'm thinking about that too is that God, there are so many walks here. That Finger Lake is just astonishing. Real talk, what happens is that like there's a moment that will and it happens to me all of the time actually too, where I feel like I should be doing something, I should be writing a poem, I should be working, and as soon as I have that feeling, I cannot, right? And I go walking, and the reason that I go walking is that it reminds me that if I don't write a poem, it's probably going to be okay, right? That the world is still going to be, you know what I mean? Like that the world will be good still. I'm obsessed with the rings of Saturn, and on every day that I have messed up a poem or not written a poem, they have been perfect, right? And so I take a great deal of solace in that, and I try to get out of my own way, and then suddenly the poems come back. Yeah.
So what do you think of yourself as a poet? Do you think that you're
I'm embarrassed.
a medium to something else? Is it self-development for you?
No, you got it exactly right, that first one. I am eager, deeply eager to be a vessel. As you guys can now tell that we're speaking, what I have to say is usually very uninteresting, I've discovered, right? And people are very kind and they tell me differently, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. And I am utterly convinced that there is an infinite amount of interesting material that is constantly abounding. And if I can point somebody back to that, one of my dearest friends, a teacher of mine and Jeff and Catherine's, once told me that a perfect poem, would be full of one sound and one sound only, and that's the sound of one hand pointing out. And I love that. I haven't written that poem yet. I'm working on it. No, I think that's a big part of it. I'm utterly convinced that humility is actually a really important skill for a poet to learn. I don't know that we all start out that way, but being reminded of my own unimportance has been one of the greatest lessons that I have a 3-year-old, so she reminds me of that like constantly. She's just, Dad, you don't really matter very much, right? But that's a big part of it for me, because I want to be a channel. I also am super obsessed with physics, and I'm also totally certain that we are all channels anyway, right? All of the matter inside of us, every atom, molecule, carbon, right? It's on loan. It was made in the furnace of a star billions of years ago, light years away, and it has just come to us in this moment, and we are organized in precisely this fashion. And when we stop being organized like this, it will go on somewhere else. And so I want to write poems that maybe echo that sentiment. Anybody? Okay, thank you guys. That was really fun.